Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Dadson. I'm an enterprise-focused CSM here at Segment with a focus on driving innovation and success for my customers. CSM and success, shocker, right? I have the distinct privilege today of introducing Goutham Valeti from Earnest, a key partner of mine, who is the head of analytics and the GM of personal loans. His team has built out analytical tooling to ensure that the marketing, operations, and product teams have access to reliable data and a platform to deploy those models. Prior to Earnest, Goutham worked at Deutsche Bank and credit trading and FICO as a data scientist. Also interviewing Goutham is Taylor Mehit, a partner marketer at Segment. Taylor works with strategic partners to help companies build best-in-class tech stacks. I look forward to hearing your thoughts about this presentation, and please drum up those questions for after. There will be Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Hi, everyone. My name is Goutham. I'm going to be jumping off camera really soon and sharing my slides. Great. I wanted to kick it off today and talk a little bit more about Earnest, about our approach to multi-channel marketing and the attribution system that we've built out over the last few years. And to kick it off, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about Earnest and what the company does, as well as what our mission is, and leading into what is our key channel in terms of affiliate tracking, as well as what was the system we built out here. To kick it off, I think Adam gave me a great intro about my background. So to give you a little more insight about the team we're trying to build out, the main mission and the vision of the team is to build out reliable, data-driven services, which can continually interact with our application process, build extremely flexible data infrastructure so that we can deliver on reporting, on automation, on models, and on machine learning. And finally, deliver actionable information. I'm going to talk a lot about Looker and our business intelligence tooling, and deliverable actionable information across the company to help both the people and the products. Great. A little bit more about Earnest. We started in 2014. We have about 150 people in Salt Lake City and San Francisco. We have 2 key offices, and we focus on education financing. We have 2 key lending products. The first one is student loan refinancing, which is someone who has graduated from either an undergraduate program or a graduate degree program and is currently paying back their loan at a very high interest rate to the federal government. So they can come by and refinance their student loans at much lower rates. And similarly, there are folks who need student loans to go to school, and the federal loan amount is usually not enough for that gap financing. We also provide private student loans. And over the last 6 years, we have, we're very happy to say we've done over $10 billion of loans to over 120,000 borrowers. As you would imagine, the number of applicants we've had is significantly higher than the number of borrowers. And most importantly, I think this is what the company really stands for. We have saved over $1 billion in interest for our students and graduates. So again, just kind of diving in a little deeper into where we see the mission and the vision of the company. Not a lot of debt servicers provide a lot of clarity in what an extra payment can do for your loan, what that extra $20 a month can do for your loan. What we've seen when we started the company was a lot of people reaching out to us with complicated spreadsheets, trying to figure out how much to make payments on their loan, how to get out of their debt in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. They just wanted to understand various options. We've received a number of complex spreadsheets asking us to check the work. So as you can imagine, this has been a huge pain point and something that we strive to help our students with. And as you can imagine, with all of the student loans comes a number of marketing challenges. I think we just wanted to highlight the number of different parties we interact with when we think about student loans. we, of course, market to the student who will be going to school, or the student who has just graduated from their program and looking to refinance their loan. However, very often, a lot of these loans also have co-signers, and the co-signers more often than not happen to be the parents, grandparents, other family members. So that's another key second person in this journey. And finally, the schools are, of course, a very important part of our journey. The schools do provide a lot of advice to the parents, to the students, in terms of financial aid, in terms of what is available before you go to school. So as you can see, every party here interacts with every other party, which means we have a number of fascinating marketing challenges. Jumping over into our approach to multi-channel marketing, as you can imagine, with very different people on the other side, we follow very different approaches to marketing. Something very new, I guess, and digital focused has been podcasts. We've always done social media marketing, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Google, or Pinterest, and so on. However, when it comes to the schools, schools are more traditional. There are a lot of conferences that happen with the financial aid offices, with admissions offices, with various different components of the school financial aid system. And as you can imagine, there's a lot more traditional conferences, handouts, pieces of paper flying around. And speaking of pieces of paper flying around, we do also go through direct mail. As with a lot of financial service companies, we still do find that direct mail is a very effective channel. And finally, client referral. I think we always love good word of mouth, good organic traffic. I think it's always been, the channel that we love the most. But all of this being said, this still does not include our main marketing channel, which drives the most volume. But as you can see, with a number of different marketing channels, it has become more challenging for us to understand where all of our leads are coming from. So jumping into the next part of the presentation, it's around attribution tracking, which is when we do have so many different channels, how do we fully understand where the leads are coming from and what is the conversion with each channel? So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about affiliate partnerships. We've seen a huge growth of affiliate marketers in the fintech space over the last 5 to 10 years. The approach we took to buying or building an attribution platform, we did notice quite a lot of solutions off the shelf. Spoiler alert, we built. So talk a little bit more about why we built. What were the results that we found, and what we learned from this whole exercise. Great. So jumping into the affiliate marketing program, this is the largest marketing channel at Earnest. So as you can see, there's this NerdWallet example, which is NerdWallet is a financial advisory blog, a website that provides information, reviews about various financial products available in the market. So within student loan refinancing, NerdWallet provides reviews on the pros and cons of Earnest versus a number of our other competitors. And we do notice that in the course of research, in the course of finding out more about student loan refinancing or student loan origination, a lot of people end up on NerdWallet, on Student Loan Hero, and a similar set of affiliate marketers. So now the challenging part with the affiliate marketing program is, as I mentioned, people visit the NerdWallet website at various stages in their loan borrowing journey. They visit it for research, for just a high-level understanding and awareness of the product, as well as when they are more ready to take the action to do the credit inquiry, to provide income verification documents. There is vastly different intent. So what we had seen was when we had just been looking at the number of clicks that were redirected from the affiliate website, the number of clicks were a difficult indicator to see how many loans would sign further down the funnel. So in this illustrative example, you can see that an affiliate marketer would send us 10,000 clicks or so. We have a quick check your interest rate optionality on our website, where without any credit inquiry, without any documentation, we will be able to provide a rate estimate. So this is the point in the flow where we see a large amount of drop off, where people are not ready to provide this information to us. Post rates, we ask people for additional information on their income, especially, as well as identity. We have to go through a KYC process as a finance company. Finally, once we go through this documentation, we approve a loan. And at the very end, once a loan is approved, we notice another drop off in the funnel where potentially our rate was not as good as a competitor rate, and a borrower would sign with the competitor as opposed to with us. So as you can see, all the way down this funnel, the conversion rate is only 5%. And I think that's pretty indicative of what we would see. However, there were some affiliate marketers where the conversion rate was 0.5%, and some affiliate marketers where the conversion rate was 15%. And the way that we had negotiated these contracts initially was at a cost per click model. And given the vast amount of variability in the cost per click model, what we found was it only really made sense for us to pay out on a signed loan. When someone signs a loan with us, the student is realizing a lot of interest savings. They are getting the service that they desired. NerdWallet and Earnest as well, we all want the borrower to save interest rate at the end of the day. So we all got together and we felt like it was going to be better value alignment across the board for the student, for Earnest, and for NerdWallet if we could move to a cost per signed loan model instead. Now, the problems that came with the cost per signed loan model is we needed to provide much more frequent automated reporting at a campaign level. So as you would imagine, our affiliate marketers do not have visibility deep into our funnel, and providing them automated, trustworthy reporting deep into our funnel was a necessity to move to the new model. So when we kicked off this conversation, when we spoke to our affiliates, a number of them mentioned systems that they had already been using, systems that they had bought off the shelf for attribution. We looked into a number of those systems. I think Impact Radius is an example of one of them. There's quite a few other ones. At the end of the day, we did not find that any of the systems off the shelf had the level of flexibility we were looking for. And the level of flexibility that we were looking for was mainly around reducing the amount of engineering work. So we kind of just took a critical view of what are all the systems we have today at Earnest, and how could we use the systems we have today. And when we took this, when we took a step back, we realized that we had all of the tools that we actually needed to build an attribution platform within Earnest. But they were just kind of doing their own things. So on the product management side, in our product organization, we had been heavily relying on Segment for our behavioral tracking. So essentially, how are people interacting with our website? Where are they clicking through? Where are they bouncing? Where are the high points of friction? So we have been using Segment a little bit in isolation as purely a product analytics tool at that point. On the finance side, as you can imagine, we've been pulling information into our backend databases, a lot of information, financial transactions, income information, credit information. So all of this already existed in our backend databases and was hooked up with Looker, which we were using as our business intelligence platform. And you can never really take the finance folks out of Excel, which is why Excel makes an appearance here. And on the marketing side, we did see that we had Salesforce, we had Facebook AdWords, we had the entire Google suite. However, we hadn't really connected them with each other in a meaningful way. There were no pipelines between these tools. All of these tools were kind of being used in isolation. So why did we build? I think, as I mentioned, we really wanted internal tooling so that our marketing team could create a new partnership in seconds. What we had seen was a number of partnership deals where if we had moved quickly, I think we would have captured the deal much more easily. And we found that there was a need for flexible partnership systems. We wanted to work with our partners and move as quickly as possible. So this GIF kind of just shows the small front end that we built behind our attribution system. So we built a small tool where we could add a quick partner as well as a redirect event for that partner. And as soon as any marketer did this, the attribution system would be updated within seconds. So what does that stack look like? So now I think segment has really become the centerpiece of all of our product analytics tooling, and we still continue to pull product analytics from segment. From our front-end tools using Segment. Our data storage continues to be through Amazon Redshift, but now the systems that talk to each other clearly are Looker, Amazon Redshift, and Segment, as well as our front-end tooling. So what we had achieved through this solution was connecting our Looker tooling with our analytics tooling. So finally, we could have financial reporting, marketing, as well as product analytics all flowing into the same place. And the same place is Segment, as well as Looker, as well as Amplitude, as well as Optimizely now. So I think we've finally gotten to a place where we managed to sync all of the data between every single one of our product tools. Big thanks to Segment. And finally, how does this all fit into our data-driven decision-making? As you saw at the start, reaching students and families was a challenge. We have to approach multi-channel marketing using a number of credit reporting data, a lot of data enrichment from various channels that we find. We need to ensure that all of this attribution is now clearly tracked so that we have a sense of which channels are effective and which channels were not as effective, so that once we do have all of the automated reporting, we can continue to make data-driven marketing allocations. I would say we used to do this at a quarterly sort of level. We've gone from quarterly to monthly to pretty much weekly at this point. So really exciting, a really quick feedback loop. And the key results, I think the biggest result that we always love to see is that we saved over $100 million in interest for our borrowers. We have seen this affiliate channel grow in loan volume over 10x. It has been our largest channel, our fastest growing channel. Our payouts have been automatically calculated and in line with agreements. I think this was another huge point of making sure that we have all of the transactions, all of the audit trails, that we are compliant with everything that we're doing. The data sharing through Looker has been incredible. I think there was potentially questions at the start of should we be using sort of a business intelligence tool as a data sharing platform, and I think Looker has shone in this use case. And finally, we have gotten all of the reporting out of spreadsheets. There was a lot of spreadsheets floating around in the marketing team, and I think getting out of spreadsheets and providing a flexible platform for future growth has been an incredible experience. Learnings, perhaps the most important part. This process was not easy. The biggest learnings that we took away were just to improve the segment tracking. We instrumented segment events. I think there is a tendency to instrument a lot of these behavioral analytics events on a need-by basis, on an experiment-by-experiment basis, and not really think about a cohesive taxonomy when it comes to naming these events, when it comes to thinking about the properties to include in these events. So a good thing we found here is including a section around analytics, around event tracking in all technical design and quality assurance documentation, all the way from the concept to the product docs to the technical docs, all the way to completion. Having an analytics section in every part of it has been incredible for us. Data quality, again, I think it follows the same events point of it, which is continuously just look at every single drop-off point in the funnel. You will continue to see exceptions there. every time you see large frictions in the funnel, it is either a huge product problem or it's a huge data problem. So one of the things needs to be fixed. The next part of it was improving attribution. I think a lot of folks think about attribution as first touch or last touch, or perhaps a combination of maybe the first and the last. But at Earnest, again, with all of the marketing channels that we have seen, with all of the different marketing channels that we have seen, it has been important to store every single touch in between as well. It's given us a good sense of not just what was the first and last touch of where the channels were coming from, but a good understanding of the interactions between the two channels and how the money spent on one channel would influence another. And a few more points. I think building out flexible infrastructure is always important. I think I put ad hoc in quotes because I would say every month there's this new bespoke one-off ad hoc request that will never come back. But that is never really the case. And finally, I think something a little emphatic to leave everyone with. I think at Earnest, we really follow the approach of if you don't need to measure it, you don't need to build it. So at any point in time when a product manager, I would say, thinks about, well, do we really need tracking here? Maybe we don't need tracking, let's just build it. I think we continue to push back with, we either need to have experimental results that show that this is going to do something good for us, or we need to measure it, track it, optimize it, and improve it over time. And that's it for me. Thank you all. Earnest continues to hire. We continue to grow even in this post-COVID world. And please drop by and say hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Goutham. So again, if you have some questions that you'd like us to discuss here, feel free to drop them in the chat. But I wanted to kick it off with one quick question. You mentioned that now moving forward, you scope analytics into basically every experiment that your team is running. I'm kind of curious what this new stack and sort of centralized focus on data and analytics for every test has enabled. Any exciting experiments that you could maybe walk us through?
Yeah, no, that is really, that's a great question. So we've kind of formed an experimentation council within Earnest, where we have representatives from our research team, from our user experience team, product, and analytics. So I think they form a good crew of folks looking at every single experiment end to end, contributing in the piece that they can, but kind of having a holistic view of every single experiment that we commit, as well as run to completion. Within this team, I guess we found a few specializations. The data and analytics side of it, the places I think we've contributed the most has been taking significant swings. This is something that once in a while, the rest of the teams might not be as clear on, but trying to get a good sense of what is the statistical significance we need to achieve, how many weeks will that take, and how big of a swing should we take here? Because once in a while, I think we get conservative and we run small tests, and the tests are good, they will give us gains, but it will take us months to realize that. And I think just having a focus on, well, we need to run this experiment this big to make sure we can optimize within a couple of weeks has been a big value add over the past few weeks, past few years.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot to be gained, but also a lot in terms of making sure that you're setting it up correctly. Cool. We've got a couple questions in the chat. A question about the timing end to end for this initiative and challenges as far as maintenance of the tool that you've built.
Great question. So timing end to end, I think it was about like 3 to 4 months, I would say, probably from concept to execution. So it did take us a while to, get all the moving pieces, design the architecture, and put it all together. Maintenance is an excellent question. I think at the start of it, perhaps a few more. I think we had quite a few P0, P1 bugs, a few fires to put out towards the start, of course, as you would imagine, in any new system and platform. I think we've kind of gotten it down at this point to maybe 1 bug a quarter, which is usually because we have shipped code in a tangential service that breaks in dependency. But I think we've gotten it down to a very stable place. I would say we dedicate perhaps, let's say, a quarter of a team member a year for maintenance of the service.
One bug a quarter seems reasonable, all things considered. We have a question also about how Earnest is using push notifications to get users to make on-time payments.
Yes, that is another interesting question. So a lot of what we discussed today was around the origination process and attracting folks to our mobile website. It's unusual to see people download the app before they even apply for a loan. So a lot of the folks who use the app are, as people mentioned, making repayments to Earnest, have a loan with Earnest, and and I think we have found that our population is, we've been lucky enough to have over 99% of our population on autopay. And when we have over 99% on autopay, I would say the push notifications have less relevance. What we do notice, of course, is if people are having trouble with their autopay, if for some reason when we try to make the autopay pull and there wasn't enough cash left in the account, those are the cases we would start using push notifications to start alerting our customers. And I guess at a higher level, this question gets a little more tricky in the financial space because there's a lot of regulation around when you can reach out to a consumer, when you cannot, especially when it comes to missed payments, especially when it comes to a time like COVID, when things have changed a lot. And I think our current policy right now is it lines up with the federal student loan policy of 3-month payment deferral if you need it, no questions asked.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure this timing provides a lot of new challenges on how to handle those situations delicately and also in a way that's fair to everyone. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. And there's one in here about how are you thinking about applying and implementing incrementality metrics?
Interesting. Incrementality metrics. Okay, so that's a good question. I think I can answer it with most of our backend databases. We call them type 2 databases. And by type 2, what we do is when we do the pulse from production, if we notice that a historical record has changed, we keep both a copy of the old record and the new record. And in our warehouse, we make sure to append what is the latest record we pulled from production, as well as what were the historical records back in production, back in the day when something was different. So I think with the concept of type 2 tables, which is essentially incrementally adding tables in the data warehouse, I think we've been able to solve that. But if there's more depth in that question, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, let us know if there's another part to that question that you'd like us to jump in. Maybe one last question I wanted to ask is, was Segment used solely as a product and analytics tool? And when did you realize that it needed to be more of the centerpiece to your stack in order to achieve this sort of built solution?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, I think it was about the same time, I guess, which was I think we had been using Segment for about maybe a year or a year and a half before that, and it was just around the product team putting their head down and thinking about how to optimize the user experience. Whereas I think the marketing team was still kind of in their silo working it out. So I think we actually just started with the reasonably simple pixel retargeting sort of things on through Segment to the destinations, to the marketing destinations. I think that's where we kind of kicked it off. And as the marketing team saw more and more of the things that Segment was capable of, I think we got clarity that this is not just the destinations. We could do so much more. We could integrate everything, not just the product analytics side of it, but operations, marketing, as well as pricing.
That's great. Well, always glad to see more teams getting value out of it. And I think that's about where we'll stop now for questions, but feel free to jump in Slack if you have additional questions for us. Right now, we'll have about a quick 15-minute networking break. So check out the expos, meet other attendees, and thanks so much for joining us today. It was great to chat with you, Goutham.
Thank you, Taylor. Great chatting with everyone. Thank you all.
Bye.